We'd like to welcome you again because we know there is yet another critical issue that we believe should help us to realize how our Nigerian dream can come to be. We have gone out again to invite another guest into the studio to join us to come and speak on some other critical element of how all of us can truly be happy and joyous Nigerians. Our guest this morning is an author. She's also a social rights advocate for children. She's the founder project coordinator of a non-governmental organization here in Lagos. She has devoted her private time and resources to creating awareness, educating parents, training teachers, and empowering children on the prevention of child sexual abuse. She's been doing this now for almost 4 or 5 years now, if I'm not too wrong. And she's so passionate about letting our children and letting our parents know how our children get abused sexually. Our guest this morning is Christiana Akindolie. You're welcome to Close Flow.
Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Incidentally, she also has a radio show, but I will not let you know that yet. Maybe in the course of the program I will tell you that. But let's just suffice it to say we can start first by asking her. So, how did you get into this advocacy business of alerting us to the fact that our children are being abused, sexually and all that? How did you get into this?
It started 4 or 5 years ago, and since my teenage years, since my teenage years, I've been handling children, talking to children. I do a lot of child talk with children too. So in the process of growing up, I love hanging around children and I love talking to them about issues of life. But at the age of 40, I found out that I was not fully fulfilled, and I needed to do something apart from my normal job, to do something extra that will give me fulfillment. And as a Christian, I asked God, what do you want me to do? I want to do something that will affect my society. So I got led to visit a school, a secondary school very close to my house, and I asked the proprietor whether I can come in to talk to the girls. It was a boarding school. So we got there, and there were about 30 girls in that particular fora. And I started talking to them about virginity, how they can keep themselves and all that. After the talk, I had about 15 girls waiting to see me. They wanted counseling for one issue or the other. But the most commonest of them was that about 15 of them, half of them were complaining and telling me that they've been abused.
Already?
Already. And one particular one that touched my heart was, she said she was 5 then, and then when I met her, she was 11. That she was 5 then, and she was living with her grandmother. And her grandmother would drop her with the gate man, who is old enough to be the grandfather. And each time the gate man, each time grandmother leaves, to go somewhere to do one or two things, she normally stays with the gate man, and the gate man will call her into the gate house, tell her to pull off her pants, and she does that and start inserting, his finger into the private part. She said, Auntie, it was very painful that the man threatened her with a knife, that if she tells anybody that he's going to kill her. So she became scared and she kept it to herself. After relocating back to her mother's house, the things started affecting her. She kept to herself. She didn't tell anybody for 8 years. And she was speaking for the very first time. I got back home and was touched in my spirit that there is more to it. I need to research. So I started carrying out research on sexual abuse and all that. And I made the first presentation in that school during the PTA meeting, the Parents Teachers Association meeting. I spoke for about 10 minutes. The parents said I should continue, that this is a new topic. They need to get more information. And that is how I started. And ever since, I've not looked back.
Now, I would like us to revisit that 5-year-old that turned out to be, okay, besides the shared trauma,
yes.
So what did you therefore do after that? So did you pick up, did that become a case study? Did that become like a project for you to say, okay, so how do we get this child out of this, psychological trauma.
Yes, it became a case study for me, not only on her case, some other cases that came up, during that period. I had to start talking to her, counseling her, and asking her for her to give me more information on what happened. And she gave me more information, and I was able to help her. I talked to her because she was keeping to herself.
Yes,
actually.
Naturally,
she didn't want to associate with anybody. Yes. She had relationship problem, and she was always lonely, and she was having low grades in the school. So she because she's not friendly, she doesn't have friends too. So I had to start talking to her. When children are facing this kind of issue, they need somebody that loves them, that will show them love and concern. So because the mere fact that she was able to open up, meaning that she trusts me.
Yes.
That really worked is a question, on that trust.
Question of trust, yes.
I worked on that trust, and ever since, she's back to her feet now. I think she has finished her secondary school.
Now, we congratulate you on that.
Thank
now,
you.
So how do we now begin to let everybody become conscious of this? We are saying for almost 8 years, this child went with this repressed, mistrust of virtually everybody,
yes.
and the parents didn't notice.
Yes.
How did that happen? How come that they didn't notice that she was going through the problem?
The issue of child sexual abuse, when I started this, before I started, I was ignorant like any other person. But when you get educated and get knowledge, you'll be aware that such a thing is happening. Then you'll be able to watch out for the signs of any issue of abuse in the home. That is why my organization is creating awareness and letting people know that child sexual abuse is existing. That is why we call it a silent epidemic. It's an epidemic that could be happening in your home and you are not aware of
right
it.
Now.
Right now. For 4 or 5 years I've been doing this. I've gone through, a lot of issues. I've heard people talk about it. People have called me, and, I've handled a lot of issues that if the parents were aware, it couldn't have happened.